This is one of the largest infrastructure projects that we've ever undertaken.
We weren't as familiar with that process because, frankly, we don't have projects that large around here.
In my lifetime, I likely will not see a project have such an impact on the community. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a good economic driver.
Just to see Windsor benefit from so many projects that other parts of the country get, I just feel like this is just a great part and a time to be in Windsor to watch all this work go on.
Windsor is Canada's southernmost city and the busiest land border crossing with the United States. Up until last year, the main highway to the border ended outside the city. More than 10,000 vehicles per day rumbled through the urban area, stopping at a number of traffic signals. This impacted local drivers, communities on either side of the corridor, and businesses trying to get their goods to market quickly and efficiently. That all ended with the $1.4 billion Right Honorable Herb Gray Parkway. Herb Gray represented Windsor West federally for an unprecedented 13 consecutive terms as a Member of Parliament. He served in cabinet for 18 of his almost 40 years as an MP, ending his political career in 2002 as Deputy Prime Minister of Canada. He then served as Canadian Chair of the International Joint Commission, which deals with Canada-US environmental transboundary issues. The Parkway reflects the strong connection Canada and the U.S. have, a relationship Mr. Gray strengthened with his service.
Frankly, I was 14 years old when I went to work for Herb as a volunteer. So the whole, my whole life, Herb Gray's been a part of that. And then me volunteering for him was really my entry into politics. But he ended up becoming that touchstone for me everywhere I went. So he's like that, that backbone of our community political history. So it's almost fitting that we're going to name this backbone infrastructure after Herb Gray. That is our lifeblood to the economy of Windsor and Essex County. And Herb was that for us. He was our entryway into Parliament Hill for decades.
The idea for the Parkway was first proposed in August of 2007. Following hundreds of public meetings attended by thousands of local residents, the Parkway was approved by Canada and Ontario in 2009.
They had exhaustive meetings with the public, with analyzing all the various options for crossings. We attended many of those because naturally we wanted to have some input.
Construction on the 11-kilometer corridor began in August of 2011, taking 4 years to complete, a feat unheard of for a project with such engineering magnitude. Spanning 3 municipalities, Windsor, LaSalle, Tecumseh, and Essex County, the project includes a new 6-lane below-grade freeway, a 4-lane at-grade parallel service road, stormwater management systems, and an advanced traffic management system. The road network is complemented by extensive community features, including approximately 20 kilometers of walking trails, extensive landscaping, community connections, and species relocations for the wildlife in the area.
About a third of all of the surface trade between Canada and the United States moves through this gateway. It's about $300 million of goods on a daily basis.
We always say, well, did you know that you can get from Montreal to Miami and you only stop at about 15 signalized intersections? And they're all in Windsor, Ontario. Because this is the only place where you don't have a free flow when you're going across the border.
Trade has been in our blood, and the result of that meant that we had to go back and forth between Windsor and Detroit many, many times in a day, let alone in a fiscal year for a business. And for whatever historical reason that they didn't bring the 401 right to the border, we knew that we had to do that.
So that creates a lot of friction going across the border. This is the busiest border crossing, and yet it's sort of the slowest one because of the fact that there isn't a highway-to-highway connection.
For Ontario, for the province, this is one of the largest infrastructure projects that we've ever undertaken, and also at a local level and from an economic and transportation perspective.
Prior to construction, utilities needed to be relocated, initial works needed to be conducted, and the team needed to purchase more than 900 properties with hundreds of buildings requiring removal from the corridor. The Parkway team worked tirelessly to ensure the process was seamless and had limited impact to residents and businesses.
I mean, naturally, it's such in huge magnitude. I mean, it's a 9-kilometer stretch of completely new build road. There was multiple phasings in order to maintain high levels of truck and pedestrian and car traffic throughout the site.
We dealt with around 900 properties that were required for the construction of the project. And that was one of the more challenging aspects, I would say.
Well, we were worried about the actual relocation. We had been purchasing property at the old market because we were planning to expand our business. So it kind of came in at the right time for us. But we were just worried with the amount of money that we had invested over there in the property and that if we were going to get the right amount to open this new market.
It was quite an experience to look at people that you live with, because I live here. I mean, I was on that Huron line all the time. And I'd have to say to my neighbors, we're gonna have to move you.
Just a few months before the Parkway actually began construction, I moved very close out to the southwest part of the city. So I knew everything that was on. I knew the concerns from people living out there before I even looked at a house when I was buying. So I was not nervous at all about choosing out there. So I was actually really lucky. I think I got a good deal on a beautiful home.
As the project got into construction, people started to realize, oh my God, this is huge. And I think then I think people became believers at that point.
Businesses picked up, I think the location is better because we're closer to the expressway now and more accessibility. We're purchasing some property next door and we're going to be expanding here.
All of the planning that went into construction of the Parkway was important to get the project moving forward, but even the best planning needs a large workforce to support it. The environmental assessment for the Parkway was the most comprehensive study ever conducted by the Ontario Ministry of Transportation. The project created approximately 12,000 direct and indirect jobs for Canadians. Approximately 7,000 people were trained to work on the site daily, with thousands more in offices around the world contributing to design and construction. Bringing so many people together to work in one place had a spin-off effect in the local economy.
We were able to build this project in just around 4 years, which is a real testament to all of the good work that everyone from all different teams that are involved really strongly signals the desire to get the work done in a timely manner.
If you recall, when we finally got to the point where we were launching companies to become involved, our economy was suffering mightily, so we were really, really struggling. And if it weren't for the fact that our companies could see this opportunity coming for major construction, I don't know what would have happened to our community.
There were literally thousands of jobs, hundreds, millions of man-hours really, from the trade unions, and so the spin-offs were great there. We had local content in the consulting engineering firms.
And it was one of the few bright lights in our economy that we could point to and say, there, people are working.
You're trying to get the work done quickly, while at the same time being sensitive to our neighbors. And that's really the innovation that the team brought in trying to find creative ways to schedule the work and complete the work.
Construction of the Parkway was no easy task. A premier trade corridor with thousands of vehicles and millions of dollars of goods flowing through needed to remain open. The project team implemented more than 25 kilometers of road diversions, taking traffic around the construction and excavation of tunnels 9 meters below the ground. Lane and road closures were limited to the middle of the night. Work was conducted concurrently throughout the entire corridor, with pile driving and excavation being conducted by multiple machines in every area. At the height of construction, more than 250 pieces of heavy equipment were on site daily.
People from Windsor, we don't really think that we're ever going to get something that amazing. And this infrastructure project is just incredible. And I tell so many people, if you haven't driven out, you have to go out and see this.
You know, as a resident of LaSalle and someone who grew up in the area, sees what really has transpired now in this parkway, I feel so rewarded actually, because now that I'm having a chance to use the parkway on a regular basis, and it's made quality of life in this whole region of our communities so much better, because now we're not having to deal with all of that traffic.
You know, it's balancing all of those desires from all of the various stakeholders that were involved and trying to find a path through the various challenges to be a success at the end of the day. Another interesting aspect is the 20 kilometers of recreational trail. So very unique for a provincial highway.
It's aesthetically pleasing, like it looks great. It's not just they've slapped in a trail along the way, they've made beautiful paved trails. And along some of the parts, it's the best way you can see down into the highway too. So I think a lot of people are going to be amazed to stop and take a look at exactly what this project did.
You know, this project is probably one of the best and most unique new roadways in, well, probably Canada.
Thanks to the Right Honourable HG Parkway and the thousands of people who helped make it happen, trade between Windsor and Detroit will continue to move safely and efficiently. There will no longer be impacts felt by communities on either side of the corridor who had been cut off for 50 years. This project will benefit the community for years to come through enhanced community connections, local amenities for active living, and a seamless international connection to the markets that keep us working.